You don't want to know if the woman that you're with is a virgin or she's had sex with 100,000 men? Like,
So you would marry a girl that had sex with 100 guys?
Why? Like, why? Why is a number like? I'm sorry. That's a completely abstract concept to me.
do you want to talk about pair bonding, bro?
No, it was because I only discovered who you were yesterday, and even the idea of pair bonding is intriguing to me because it's a completely foreign concept.
Okay,
Something I've
go on.
never even
it's just
considered in my entire life.
Yeah, it's just basically like the more partners that a girl has, the more people she compares him to, typically, and it makes her less satisfied with the guy she's with. So, for example, if a girl is a virgin when she's married, she has an 80% chance of having a happy marriage after 10 years. Where if she slept with more than 5 people, it drops to a 30% chance.
How are you ascribing these statistics to that? How do you possibly prescribe an 80% statistical chance?
So they survey the people later. So like, how many people had you slept with when you got married, and then later they come back and ask if they're happy.
So are they reducing that to just sex and saying that the reason the women are comparing them to the past men is specifically because of sex?
Well, okay, they don't say in the study that it's because they compare. So I should say that's just like based on like my talking to people. It's just based on how many partners they've had. So it drops down to 25%.
It's just very Homer Simpson telling Kent Brockman that like 40% of all people can make up statistics. Like,
so you don't see the sense in it. So if you think that somebody has experienced 100 men, for instance, if a woman's experienced 100 men, and then you're 101, you don't think that those 100 men would she won't think about one of those 100 men and not you.
Of course she would. But
exactly. So that's
it's a complete. It's a fallacy. It doesn't it's not a comparable statistic.
Well, of course it is, because do you know what an alpha widow is?
A what? Sorry?
Alpha widow.
An alpha widow.
Yeah. So a lot of women. Go on, Pearl. You'll explain it better than I would.
Well, it's basically like women like to be with the guy that's the best that they can get. And like they want to feel like they're with the best that they can get. And the problem is, if a girl has a guy that's at a certain caliber and then she goes on to date somebody else and she sees him as settled. So a lot of times women sleep up and then the person that they marry isn't who they actually want. Mm-hmm. And so there's like accounts of like even there's Reddit threads of like girls talking about how they, married one guy and they miss their husband, or not, sorry, they miss their ex-boyfriend from college or whoever it was.
But why does sex or how many people they've slept with determine that? Wouldn't it be other factors, like how they were treated in the relationship or how the relationship was?
You're right.
It's not only sex,
but if you've had 100 guys,
but not all of those are going to be substantial relationships. Not all of those are going to be comparable to, say, the person you're with. Right? If it's one specific person, it's no different for one person sleeping with one person and comparing that to that person, right?
Could you explain that more?
So say if they had only slept with, say, like 5 people before they met the person they married, right? Regardless of whether they slept with 100 or 5, there's still that one boyfriend that they'd compare to.
Mm-hmm. You're actually correct with that. It's not necessarily only about the number. Like if the first person you slept with was Michael B. Jordan, I think it's going to be hard to live up to that if that's your first boyfriend. Yeah. So it's not necessarily about the number, but when you go up to 100, it's like the more chances of there being a guy that you can't live up to, I think, increases.
I think if women are actually honest, they all know that one guy in their head that they probably won't say. There's that one guy that they know who we're actually talking about. I don't know who he is, but you do.
I think it's depending on how you view your past relationships. For me, there's no one in my life I would really want to go back to because I understand why it didn't work out and it didn't work out for specific reasons, and I'm not, quite frankly, that person anymore. And I also think it's dependent on the circumstances of how women are sleeping with these different men, right? If they're not entering into emotional commitments or, why they're sleeping around, these sorts of things, and then they change the headspace that they're in, then I don't think body count has an impact on who their future partner might be based on just self-awareness.
So question, what value does more bodies bring to a guy?
Does it have to bring value?
Yeah, no, I'm saying.
But that's
I'm saying.
What I'm saying.
I'm saying when a girl, men are biologically predispositioned to be attracted to purity and youth.
What do you mean by that?
Like throughout all of history, like the most powerful men had concubines of virgins.
Right.
But
Like so that's what I'm saying. You can't. I'm saying you can't. I'm saying you
Such
can't.
as Genghis Khan.
yeah, but I would attribute that to the claiming of power. They want to
Genghis Khan?
claim power
exactly
over
what
submissive
you're
female. And
Wait,
typically
guys,
that's gonna
Hang on,
be-
one
it
sec.
needs
Sorry.
to be one at a time.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I would say that would be attributed to men wanting, or people in those positions wanting, claiming as much power as possible. And the most power you can have is over a submissive, pure female, right? It doesn't necessarily.
Right, but I'm saying like they're attracted to youth and purity, and they can't undo that.
But that's a power-based mindset, right? And that power is what we kind of crave through a survival mindset, right? When we're trying, the person who has the most power is the most likely to survive, right? And so when we're in that frame of mind, that makes sense. But that's not the world that we kind of really live in anymore. It's not really based around survival. It's not based around this calling for power. I don't think that should be the defining kind of factor in terms of
right. But that's like a woman's point of view.
Right.
You might not think that, but in general, guys care, and so it's like you can't go to the market and tell them. And I know your friend doesn't, and but this is an exception.
But
it's
I
not
don't
the
think
rule.
he's that much of an exception. I've
but-
met a lot of people who don't really care and don't really consider that because there are other factors they consider.
Are they
right?
trying to sleep with you?
Who?
Like the people that told you that?
In terms of they don't
Probably.
care?
Probably.
That's what I'm saying.
Because guys are here, right? So guys, you prefer a purer woman than more of a hoe.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, and there's a lot of factors when it comes to liking a girl, but I think if the exact same girl and then she slept with 1,000 men
Right.
or 3 men, it's like
It's
I
a
don't
no-brainer.
even. Yeah, I don't judge the girl that slept with 1,000 men. Live your life, but yeah, you're gonna want the girl who has had less men inside of her.
Right.
Even if I were to say that there was any weight on body count, I would say you'd have to consider the circumstances that body count happened in, right? Where that person was at, why they were sleeping around, right? And what space they might be in, right? Someone
Guys
could
don't care.
completely change their habits. But
Guys actually
I don't
don't
think
care.
that's true. I don't believe that's true. I think that is actually kind of making too much of a generalization. I know you work on the
But it
general,
is-
the
it is
rule and not
general,
the
yeah.
exception, but that is too much. It's a lot more nuanced than that. I don't think as many men as you think actually
So
do
I'm
care
just
about
saying,
that,
if a
that
woman
makes
came to me
sense.
and said, "I've slept with 1,000 men because I was broken and I had been abused and blah blah blah," right? You still slept with 1,000 men.
Where's the compassion in that though? Where's
That's
Do
I'm
we-
not thinking about. I'm thinking about you've had 1,000 penises inside
if
your
you
vagina.
are going to be with someone, shouldn't